you can start taking steps towards that. And you will not lose touch with your ability to check in and titrate between activity and rest. You can actually bring that forward with you as you move forward, as you take your next steps, as you build what you want to build in the world, because the world needs what you are building. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Phoenix Grace. I'm a professional psychic, astrologer, psychic teacher, modern day witch. And I'm going to give you an energy update that is based on a lunar calendar. So I read the energy and consult the astrology from new moon to new moon. I give you a read on the biggest lunations of the month, the new moon and the full moon of that month. And then I give you a general themes that will be up for this lunar month. The reason I do these energy updates not based on a Gregorian calendar, but on a lunar calendar is because I see it's just more relevant to our bodies, to our spirits, to go by the cycles of the moon instead of the Gregorian calendar, which I believe was created by the Catholic Church or something like that. Like and subscribe to my channel, like this video, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what lands for you. So let's get into it. And yes, if you are curious about my glasses, I'm recording this at night and I love to protect my circadian rhythms. So I am wearing my red light glasses. So protect your circadian rhythms out there, folks. It's winter. Blue light is not normal at night. All right. Anyway, so when I look at the general vibration for this upcoming month that starts on the new moon in Sagittarius, the general vibe of this month looks very like a vibrant green to me. There is this go get it kind of attitude. There is a theme here of really going after what you want, really building and growing something in your life, taking steps forward. It's so interesting to have the vibration of this month be at a vibration that I would more so read in the lens of spring, even though we are in the dead of winter at this point in the Northern Hemisphere for this month. But that is really what I see. I see a vibration that is very action oriented, that is very good at building and growing things. And so this might be the month where you start to really take some steps forward on things in your life. There will be momentum. In consulting the astrology, this really lines up with a kind of Mars and Capricorn energy, which Mars just entered Capricorn and is going to be in Capricorn for this lunar month. And so it's the time to really kind of mindfully get shit done. Take advantage of this vibrant green energy to really take some bold steps forward in your life, some grounded, practical steps forward to really go after what you want. And when I say go after, I see some of you kind of responding to that with like this pressure or anxiety. And I'm not saying that you need to force yourself or that you need to push your body past your body's capacity. That's not what I'm saying at all. Because I feel like in the way that we are conditioned in our current culture and by capitalism, it very much means to kind of be active can be equated in a lot of our social conditioning inside of ourselves with this kind of push yourself beyond your capacity. And there is actually a healthy, active energy in each one of us that can be aligned with your capacity, that can be invigorating, enlivening, empowering to take action in a way that isn't burning yourself out or that is still in touch with your inner yes and no, your genuine capacity for something. I feel like in my readings recently with folks, I've been seeing a lot of people come in with this subconscious story that they don't have the capacity to actually do what they want in their life, whether that's create a business or take a next step in your relationship or dating or your life. And in these clairvoyant readings, I am reflecting to them that this subconscious story is simply not true. It's not true that you don't have the capacity. This worry and anxiety about not having the energy for something is actually what is not based in reality, is actually what is not true. And what is true is that you actually do have the capacity to do the thing. And this month, you will. This month, there is the capacity to do the thing. And that includes moments of rest, of course, moments of care, moments of stillness. It's not just a go, go, go kind of thing when there is active energy. If you resonate with that, if you also feel like you can have doubts and concerns come up around, like, oh no, am I really going to have the energy to do this project that I really want to do? Know that this month you can start taking steps towards that, and you will not lose touch with your ability to check in and titrate between activity and rest. You can actually bring that forward with you as you move forward, as you take your next steps, as you build what you want to build in the world, because the world needs what you are building. So let me take a look at the first lunation of this month, the new moon in Sagittarius, which is happening on December 19th at 6:43 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Now, a new moon in Sagittarius is usually quite a moment to allow ourselves to inwardly explore, inwardly expand. It kind of brings this sense of expansion to our inner worlds, to what we felt like was even possible, right? For ourselves, emotionally, even what's even possible with regards to your body. And I do see this new moon as holding a signature of hope, of light, of possibility. It's like a new, refreshing beginning, right? This new moon is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is in Cancer, retrograde in Cancer at this time, still experiencing a nice water trine with Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. And so there's still some of this dreamy, intuitive, watery support that this new moon is getting charged with. And it really does look like a time to let yourself explore, let yourself dream, let yourself adventure in your own psyche to what is possible for you. I really see this archer imagery with regards to this new moon, that Sagittarius archer. What are you dreaming up is possible for yourself? And can you give yourself a moment of quiet, a moment of stillness to really reflect on that this new moon? New moons are often a time to slow down and really reflect and set intentions in your life. And this just looks like a really supportive lunation in order to do that. It's coming at the end of the calendar year. It's a ripe time for reflection. This new moon is also conjunct Venus in Sagittarius. And so there is this sweetness to the inner adventures you are embarking on, that you are planting, that you are dreaming of. The moon herself is squaring both Neptune and Saturn. And so that can also bring about some growth, some challenge, some friction when it comes to actualizing these dreams, when it comes to not sort of floating away into the ether with these adventurous, exciting new horizons you want to explore. But you will be kind of challenged to put them to the test. Like, how are you going to make this reality? How are you going to deal with the things that Saturn rules, which are, boundaries, limits, constraints? So that will be up as well. But in general, pretty supportive, uplifting new moon to take advantage of. And that brings us to the full moon happening, the second really important lunation of this lunar month, the full moon, which will happen just after the start of 2026. Full moon in Cancer, January 3rd, 2026 at 3:03 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And when I look at this full moon in Cancer moment, she looks wide. She looks generous. It's like a big open field, a big open hug from a motherly figure. The moon loves being in Cancer. She is at home here. This is a place where she can really spread out. um, And this lunation is happening at 13 degrees of Cancer, which is in the second decan of Cancer, which is ruled by Pluto. And so there is this depth to this full moon, this expansive, transformative widening that I see with this full moon in Cancer starting at the beginning of 2026. And there are ways that that widening is kind of like a stretching and it doesn't feel super comfortable. Transformation and growth is often uncomfortable. We often encounter discomfort as we stretch and grow. In terms of the astrology, all full moons are in opposition between the moon and sun. And the sun has Venus and Capricorn and Mars in Capricorn right next to him. And so it's like a whole opposition happening between the moon in Cancer, the sun in Capricorn, Venus in Capricorn, Mars in Capricorn. So it's kind of like a pretty big face-off between the moon and then all three of those planets. And that's not comfy. An opposition is kind of like a square off, like the planets don't really know how to relate to one another because they're in such different placements. And so, on one hand, the moon in Cancer is like in this deep, kind of nourishing, nurturing, kind of cathartic place. And then she's squaring off with all of this Saturn ruled Capricorn energy that is more focused on the practicality of things, is mystical in its own way, but kind of in a more harsh way at times, is more concerned with reality. And so to me, it really does look like this full moon is going to stretch you. I see themes around care really coming up, how you care for yourself, how you're caring for your people, others, and really feeling kind of stretched in that way. When I look at what you're going to be releasing or alchemizing or healing with this full moon signature, I see a lot of agreements releasing for you that are old, outdated, and have to do with guilt or fear and control, doing things out of obligation or feeling like you have to, not because you want to. There's this tension between your intuition and what you feel like has to get done, hence this obligation energy. I see that this full moon really falls mostly in the third chakra space, your solar plexus. So really having to do with your body's battery, the kind of fuel you fuel your body with, your physical capacity, your ability to do stuff. And so with the general overall theme of this lunar month really being about kind of taking next steps forward, doing stuff, building stuff, this full moon might bring a kind of heightened moment where you are alchemizing some old stories, some old energy around how you do things. What are the ways in which you do things that are actually not working anymore for you to move forward, for you to access this new level of like active energy in yourself in a healthy, vital, life-giving way. The third chakra is also about your agency, right? Your sense of your physical power. And so when you are acting from obligation, you're acting from guilt, how are you losing your power? How are you giving your power away? Which ultimately usually leads to physical exhaustion, right? Because if you fuel your actions and your decisions with an energy of obligation or guilt, that is ultimately going to be exhausting. And so I'd be curious to hear how that might be up for you this full moon in Cancer lunation. When I look at what is helpful for you this full moon and with alchemizing these kinds of things, I see the energy of surrender, which is very Pluto coded, right? With the second decan of Cancer being ruled by Pluto, there's almost a surrender to this moment that's going to help you move through this transformative energy of this full moon. Not fighting, not resisting, but actually letting go, surrendering, allowing the crunchy stuff to come up. I think so many of us have been so programmed to really resist when things get hard or challenging or crunchy in our lives. And it's kind of a shame that that programming exists because it is often through the challenge, it is often through the crunchy periods of growth that we learn the most and that we actually get to expand. It is through meeting those moments of growth with some humor, with some lightness, with some surrender, with some acceptance, with some willingness to allow it to flow through you because everything changes. If something feels crunchy and hard, it's not going to be that way forever. If you can learn to move with the crunchy, giving it plenty of space to be there, you will be able to consciously say yes to so much more growth and healing and change in your life. And isn't that ultimately what we all want, or what many of us want? Some degree of change and healing for ourselves, for the planet. And so choose to surrender this full moon moment, and it will be much easier of a time. All right, that is my read on this current lunar month that starts with the new moon in Sagittarius. Enjoy the energy of this upcoming month. Get some shit done. Rest deeply. Give yourself permission to move forward. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.